95 Honda Accord just had a heavy thunderstorm come through, and lately, as is usually the case when that happens, driver's side floorboard up front is soaked. Now in that footage you could see that water had run over the top of the floor mat. That led me to believe that the door cavity filled up with water and overflowed onto the carpet and onto the floor mat. The question was, why did the water overflow? Were the drains clogged on the underside of the door? They were not. Let me show you those drains. There are 4 drains on the underside of the door, and all of those drains are clear. There's 3 and 4. So what I think happened that caused water to pour in through that hole, where I parked this car, the car's parked at an angle. It's not perfectly flat. As the door cavity fills up with water, because it's at an angle, water's not reaching all 4 of the drains, and with a very heavy rain, 2 drains or possibly even 3 cannot keep up with the volume of water, so it builds up inside the door cavity and it gets out any way it can, in this case through that hole, which then overflowed onto my driver's side floorboard. So now what do I do about it? I'm going to attach this piece of the vapor barrier in the same way that I have previously about 15 years ago using silicone. You can see it's all siliconed up on this side. I'm also going to fill in this hole, and this hole where I believe the water came through the last time. Now with the addition of those 3 holes, we have 7 drainage holes on the underside of the door. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 down at the end. So that should be more than enough drainage, even with a heavy rain and even with the car parked at an angle. Should be enough drainage so that the water does not build up inside the door cavity and overflow through that hole that we saw that was right next to the speaker. And if we go back and look at that hole, you can see a trail down the metal where it's obvious that water had been running through. So that was the dead giveaway. Now I had a fan blowing on this all night, so everything's nice and dry. I can get it all reinstalled. And I have a video that I posted several years ago showing how to take all the carpet and seats out of this car, which should apply to 94 through 97 Accord specifically. And I'll put a link to that video at the end of this video. And at that time, I was chasing a water leak on the passenger side, which I did solve, and I'll put a link to that video as well. And I know how aggravating it is chasing a water leak in a car. They can be very difficult to find. This one gave me a clue right away, because you saw when I opened up the door, right after it had stopped raining, it wasn't a case of just having water underneath the floor mat. There was water on top of the floor mat. That was my first clue in looking for how the water was getting in. We need a thunderstorm to see if the water's going to leak through again. That's the only thing that's going to test it. I'm not going to waste my time with a garden hose. I want a big thunderstorm to test it. All right, here comes our test. Big thunderstorm coming. And here is proof that where I park my car is not level. You can see the bubble is all the way to the right. So, I'm waiting on the rain. When that happens, I will check it out and hopefully we'll be dry. All right, still raining, but the worst of the storm is over. So let's see what we got. Bone dry. All right, so next day and much heavier rain. My car's parked in the opposite direction, so it's angled towards the back now, but it should be a good test for that door to see if that repair that I made, did it work. So once it stops raining, I'll check it again. All right, still raining a little bit, but I want to check it out before it gets dark. And we are, once again, bone dry. No water at all leaked in along the whole door. So if it didn't leak in with that 2-hour thunderstorm, this is fixed. The last thing is that if it was an issue of the car being parked at an angle, if that's what contributed to the leak, then why don't any of the other doors leak water? Maybe the weather stripping at the base of the glass, maybe that has separated more on the driver's door and that lets more water in, because it is a 27-year-old car and I'm sure everything is not as tight as it was when it was brand new, obviously. I don't know the answer to that question. I can't tell you what I specifically did that fixed the problem. I drilled new drain holes and I added the silicone. That stopped the leak. That is all I can tell you. So if you have water leaking in through any of your doors, maybe the silicone and drilling extra holes will work for you. Hope this helps. Thanks for watching.